All right, we are live for now the third time. This is video 3 today. I did 2 other videos already. They are either uploaded or in the process of uploading as we speak. So if you have not checked them out, I hope you will. The first video I did was the 4 PGX books I'm sending out to get graded, what they are and what my predictions will be. The second video was the 2 EGS books that I have going to be sending in to get graded, and again, the significance, the price I paid for them, and what my predictions for the grades will be. But this particular video, and I don't think I've done 3 videos in one day, I don't think ever. I might have, but I doubt it's been probably years since I've done it, if I did. But this is, I got 4 of my books back. One of them is, I don't know if you consider it a mega key, but it's definitely one I'm very excited to find out what the grade is going to be. But these came back, and the 4 Golden Age books are already being delivered. They've already been graded. So last month's 4 PGX books have already been graded and sent out. So I should be getting those within the week. I guess obviously it's going to depend on with the holiday schedule when it's going to arrive. But it would either be by the end of this week coming or in the beginning of next week. So more videos to come. So this is the 4 PGX books. As you could see, for some reason I'm on a goblin and orc kind of kick today. So I did another one of my AI art thumbnails. I would love to hear your opinion. I love the detail of it. I just wanted like happy orcs instead of angry orcs that you'll see. Or these are goblins or orcs. I don't know what they are. Whatever they are, I think they're pretty cool. But as usual, this particular video is sponsored by PGX. But when I mean sponsored, it means they've given me the opportunity to do this without having any contract signed. So I'm under no obligation. I do not get paid by them. I just share the experience. I tried contacting CGC and CBCS years ago, and neither one of those companies ever even returned the messages. PGX at the time was the only one that's done it. They allow me to send in 4 books every month. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. And I can get them pressed, dry clean, graded, signature verification if need be. And grader's notes added to the back of the comic slabs. Definitely not on the back of the comics. It would lower the grade. For free. They get free advertisement. So check out pgxcomics.com. Check out their website if you've never used them before. And I also make sure it benefits you guys and gals. I'm assuming there might be a girl every now and then that watches my videos. Stranger things have happened. But if you send 10 books or more to PGX and use the code WeLoveComics Free Press, they will press one of the books for free. I would highly recommend, if you have a specific one that you want to have pressed for free, make sure you indicate it. Otherwise, they'll just randomly pick one. So it could save you anywhere from like $18 to $35 depending on the book that you are getting pressed. And also, if you want to have grader's notes added to the back of the slab, which I have them do every time, it was my idea and I love the fact that they do it. I wish all the grading companies would do it. If you use the code WeLoveComics grader's notes, it's $5 per book, but they will put the grader's notes on the back of the slab. I just think it's better, especially if you're going to sell a book, so people know what the problems are. Many companies out there sometimes don't even give you grader's notes at all, which to me makes no sense. And if you want them for free, PGX will email you the grader's notes, so you can get them for free. All right, so we got 12 people in the live chat. One person so far has been kind enough to hit the like button, so thank you to that one gentle person. So as we could see here, and they do an amazing job. Every month for 5 years now, every single one of my packages has arrived safely. Not one case, knock on wood, has ever come cracked or damaged in any way. And even though there's only 4 books, as you could see, they put it in a gigantic box. I appreciate that, and you'll see that they put... Oh, I just hit the computer. Hold on a second. I gotta redo this. So it's going to freeze up for a second. All right, there we go. So sorry about that. If that cord moves, if a bee or a fly lands on it, it will freeze it. So it will be temporary, that freeze. But as you'll see now, I got the box. I have not opened it. I cut open the sides to make it a little quicker. As you can see, they marked down the French for Gilly, which is French for fragile. So we're going to see how well they do their packaging. Like I said, not once in the 5 years has any book ever arrived damaged. Not one case. So as you can see, they have they add extra padding. They have the packing peanuts below that. Here are the 4 new versions of the sleeves for the graded books. These are the Mylars with the reusable sticker. You just peel that off and you could reuse them so you don't need the tape. And they go all the way up instead of those original PGX sleeves. I did not like those. So there's more of the padding underneath. And as you can see here, the 4 comics are also wrapped in bubble wrap. And then you'll see after I get through the layer of bubble wrap, there is a layer of blue cellophane that keeps the books from, especially, you know, being in a either FedEx or UPS or USPS truck. You know, they're not going to be very kind to packages, as I'm sure you've seen if you've ever ordered anything through the mail, how many things where the boxes are basically destroyed. They basically put the saran wrap so the books aren't moving around during transportation, and that is something I appreciate. So as you can see, there's the blue cellophane. Now, I do not know the grades. I never want to know. So I'm getting the grades live just like you are. I'll show you what I paid for them, what my predictions were at the time, and then we'll reveal what the grades are. So these all look like, as it's keeping their consecutive track of no cases being cracked. So they have sturdy cases, and they always arrive safe. So that's why I like doing these live. So there's nothing edited. You know, I'm not trying to mislead anybody. I'm just like, here it is. If it's something that you like, that's great. If not, as they say, to each their own. All right, so first up. All right, we're going with one of the Silver Age books. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 20, which is the first appearance of the Scorpion. There have been rumors that they will be doing more with him in the future. Again, I said it in the other 2 videos, with the strikes going on and things that are possibly changing in Disney and in the Marvel area. Things can be changing, so there are no guarantees. But even without that, you know, Scorpion is an iconic Spider-Man villain, so you cannot go wrong with his first appearance. I paid a grand total of $125 for this book. It's a lower grade book, but as I always say, low grade is better than no grade. To me, it doesn't matter the grade. It matters on the price I paid for the grade. You can make money on a 0.5. You can make money on a coverless book as much as you can with a 9.8. It basically depends on, you know, if those things really matter to you. To me, as long as they're graded fairly and near where they should be, because remember, this is all based on human opinion, I'm happy. So I predicted this book would be about a 3.5 to a 4.5 with off-white to white pages. So let's start off and see what we got. All right, so even better than I thought. So, and I'll tell you something, I wasn't sure this was the Silver Age book, because when I saw the back, I'll tell you something, PGX does amazing pressings and dry cleanings. The back of this book looks amazing. Now, I wasn't sure what the grade is, and that's why I like to try and grade sometimes a little bit lower. I was not sure how much, as you can see, somebody drew in pen either a cross or an X. I didn't know how much that would affect the grade. But the rest of the book, like you can see, is very clean. There are no tears. There's no pieces missing. And the back of this book, I mean, I'll tell you something. If you don't want to get your books graded by PGX, you know, that's your own thing. But you can get your books sent in to them to just be pressed. They will just press and dry clean your books. And they're the cheapest and the fastest. And I am amazed every time at how good their process is with their pressings and dry cleanings. So the book wasn't as low as I thought. Because, you know, it's not like it's scribbled all over the comic. It's just that one little section right there. But again, I wasn't sure what that would do to the grade. So a 5.5. Now, what did I say pages? I said off-white to white. It's cream to white. So, that depends. Somebody could have left the book open on one page and it hit the sunlight for a little bit. That can vary. But obviously in a book from 1965, people read them. So I think, like the only, again, major damage, if you want to say major, if you look on the very tip, there's a little bit of color loss. Just on the very tip. Not anything that would make it a 1.0 or anything. So they did a fantastic job with the pressing. And that's why I tell people, make sure that you check a book that you're going to buy. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Because if there are non-color breaking creases or ripples from like maybe dampness or something, those can be pressed out. And you'll see the last book that I show had a lot of non-color breaking creases where a pressing could dramatically increase the value, and you could totally pay under the value based on what somebody's selling it raw. That's why I love graded comics, because it lets people know what the grades are. Now, obviously, it's based on people's human opinions, but I really think this book comes out beautiful. So for $125 for the first appearance of Scorpio, again, they did a great job. Now, as you can see, they have the grader's notes on the back. So again, if you want to use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes for $5, you can have the Graders Notes added. I love that they do that. It was my idea. I brought it up to Daniel, the owner of PGX, and he was kind enough to not only listen, but actually follow up and do it. So let's read what the Graders Notes are. All right, multiple stress lines along the spine. That is to be expected, especially in a mid-grade kind of book. And like I said, books back then, people didn't buy them just to put them straight into bag and boards. People actually read them. So you're going to get things like that. And that's why I say, if I can pick and choose the damages of a book, obviously if there's something where the value is just worth it and there's damage on the front, I don't care. But I'd like to have the majority of the damage, if possible, to be along the spine. So I don't really care as much about that, because especially when you get a book graded, you're not really going to see it. So I have no problem with that kind of stuff. But it says multiple stress lines along the spine, cover, edge, and spine wear, which I showed you on the top, and there's a little bit on the bottom. Again, nothing major. Oh, let me put it. You're probably not even really going to be able to see it. But there's a little bit of color loss on the bottom tip. All right, browning interior cover. That's to be expected with an older book. Somebody could have left it out and, read it in the living room. Left it open and the sunlight hit it. Corner crease front cover, that's the thing I just showed you. Slight stains, weak spine. So, again, I'm actually surprised they didn't mention this, but it's obvious, so you don't even have to mention it. I think, honestly, they should have written that into the grader's notes, but, it's not like you can't see it. So if it was something that was inside the book, then that would be a problem. So could they have written it here in the grader's notes? They sure could have. But I can give them a pass on that because, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that there's a piece of an X or a cross drawing there. So it doesn't have to be listed. But could it have? Yes. But I'm not going to beat them up over that. So we're starting out pretty good on that one. All right, let's get to the next one. We got... Okay, this is the Hulk variant. Now, this is the Hulk #1. This is the first appearance of the Red Hulk. There are a couple of different variants. I think this is one of the rarer, because I know it has the question mark there. I think it might have been a 1 in 30 variant. I'm not sure. If anybody knows more about this variant, let me know. You could post it in the live chat if you're in the live chat, or later on in the comments section. But I don't know how much I paid for this because I got this in a trade. And I do not remember what the trade was because this was going back at least 7 or 8 years ago. So I don't know what ultimately what it would have been what I paid for it. But I got it in a trade. And that's why I always tell people, if you get multiple copies of a book or if you buy something that has value that you don't love, makes it easy to sell or trade. So obviously if I made a trade, it was something either I had multiple copies of or it was a book I really didn't have passion in. It's the books you love that are harder to sell and trade. So sometimes it pays, like if you see a book that you absolutely hate, and let's say you could buy it for $20 and it's worth $100. Well, if you hate the book, you're not going to have a problem selling it or trading it. And you could end up using that money or that trade to get something you do want. So again, when it comes to investing, there's smarter ways to do things. Don't always just base it on buy what you love, because the stuff that you love is going to be much harder to get rid of because you're going to have an attachment to it, especially if it has sentimental value based on something maybe you might have bought as a child. But if it's a book you don't love, it's going to be very easy to get rid of and trade or sell. So consider that. But this book, it was between, I said it was about between a 9.4 and a 9.8 with white pages. You know, what they're going to do with the Red Hulk remains to be seen at this time. Again, with all the things that are going on in Hollywood, anything can change at this point. We'll see what happens. But what grade did we get on this one? At 9.2. So this one's actually a little bit lower than what I thought. But again, I'm not going to be one of those people. It's like, oh, I got to crack it open and resubmit it. I'm perfectly fine with a 9.2. This is the Hero Initiative / Atomic Comics exclusive variant cover. So would I have loved to have a 9.8? Sure. Is a 9.2 going to be as desirable? Probably not. But again, I got this in a trade. So, you know, I can end up selling this and doing quite well if they use the Red Hulk or if somebody just wants this book. But considering, well, I don't know how much I paid. But I said white pages. It actually is white pages. So it's got the Ed McGuinness art and cover. We'll see what happens with this book. It's not, even at a 9.8, this isn't a comic that's flying off the shelves. But I'm still going to be happy with the 9.2. I'm not one of those people that's going to be mad and say, oh, I have to have a 9.8, otherwise it's a failure. That's the thing, you taking the chance. Next up, and thank you so far to the 16 people watching. 7 people have hit the like button, so thank you for that. All right, next book. This is X-Men number 129. This is the first appearance, if I can remember off the bat, of Kitty Pryde and, not Mystique. What's that? Is it the White Queen? I forget her name. It'll be listed on here, so forgive me on that. I know there are 2 people that the first appearance of this book is. But I paid $84.98 for this book. It's a higher grade, but it's not a 9.8. I predicted about an 8.5 to a 9.2 with white pages. I can't believe I don't remember her name. Emma Frost. That's what it is. No one told me. I just remembered. So I believe it's first Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost. So this is a key issue. Who knows what's going to happen with the X-Men? I hope they do it justice. I hope they learned from the last phase what not to do. I guess we'll have to find out. And yeah, a couple people just wrote Emma Frost. So for $84, even if it's an 8.0, I'm going to be happy. So let's see what we got for this grade. All right, oh, and there you go. Speak of the devil, it's an 8.0. So I'm perfectly fine with that. So it is also a newsstand edition. I forgot to mention that. So they did mention that here. So that makes it even better, because I totally forgot about that. Newsstand editions tend to be rarer. Now, when it comes to older books, there are exceptions to the rule, so we're not sure. But keep in mind, newsstand variants are things that you'd find on the comic book racks at stores like 7-Eleven or something. So they were more likely to get damaged. So an 8.0, and what did I say page-wise? I said white pages. This is actually off-white to white pages, so I wasn't far off. But again, the pressing job that they did is amazing. This actually looks better than an 8.0, but I'm not going to complain, especially for a newsstand variant. Again, older books, there might be an exception to that, but I like collecting newsstand. But let's see, it does say first appearance of Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, and also Sebastian Shaw. So there are actually 3 people that are the first appearances in this book. This came out in 1980, where I was a grand total of 9 years old, going on 10. It is a Chris Claremont and John Byron story. John Byron art and cover. So for $84 to have an 8.0, which was actually lower than what I predicted, because this book looks really nice, but does have a couple of greatest notes, and that's what I love. So you can see PGX is not doing me any favors. They're not giving me a 9.8 because I do videos and it makes them look good. I have no problem with having a grade a little bit lower than what I predicted, as long as it seems like it's fair, and I'm happy with an 8.0. All right, so the greatest notes, multiple minor stress lines along the spine. I could barely see any. I see one tiny one there. one tiny one, and by tiny I'm talking like an 1/8 of an inch to a 1/16 of an inch. So nothing major, and I don't even see any more. So there might be some tiny ones that, you know, you see under a microscope, but they did mention it. Minor edge wear, edge crease on front cover, minor creasing along the spine at front cover. So again, it's so minor I can't even see it. And I love the fact, because this happens in many comics, there is not one color breaking crease or fold in that one edge, where that happens a lot in comics. That's why I thought this book was going to come back a little bit higher. But again, for an 8.0 of this book, a newsstand edition for $84, I'm very happy with. Now, will they ever use Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost again in a comic book movie from Marvel? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But even without a movie, those are still iconic characters and definitely a book I would highly recommend. So I'm very pleased with that overall, even if it was lower than what I thought it might be. And again, I'm not a professional, so just because I pick a grade doesn't mean that's what it is. That's the beauty of doing this live. All right, last one. Now, if you watch the other video I did, the first video I did, because I did 3 videos today, one of the books I'm sending in is Bone number 2. This is Bone number 1. This is the first print. Now, I bought this already graded from somebody on eBay. It was a CGC 7.5. I paid $1,480 for the book. When I got it, I saw that it had numerous pressable defects. So, even if this only goes up to an 8.0, I'm going to be happy. But I put down between an 8.5 to a 9.2 because, again, as long as it doesn't have color breaking creases, pressings can dramatically increase the grading of a comic. Now, whether that happens or not, we're about to find out. But originally, this was already graded a CGC 7.5, so whoever had this book graded by CGC either did not know or did not get that book pressed. And it absolutely, I guess we'll find out, see if it benefited. So what grade did we get? And there we go. It went from a 7.5 to an 8.5. And I said between an 8.5 to 9.2. They did label this is a first print. That I already knew. But remember, the printings, there's like 7 or 8 printings of this book. They are all the same cover. So how do you tell the difference? First print has the red colored bone. Any other color than red, it's another printing. So if you see the bone in yellow or purple or blue, they are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th prints. So this book went from a 7.5 to an 8.5 because of all the pressable defects. Now, I knew this wasn't going to get a 9.8 or anything because it did have a little color breaking crease there, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 minor, maybe 5 minor little color breaks on the back. So I knew this wasn't going to get super high grade, but I knew because if you watch the video when I was sending this in, all along the spine and all along here was all pressable, non-color breaking creases. And I knew that this book would benefit from a press. And that's why sometimes it pays to take a chance on an already graded book, because not everybody knows about getting books pressed. Or maybe somebody couldn't afford the extra amount to get it pressed, or didn't want to wait the extra time to get it pressed. And you can end up winning, because the difference between a 7.5 and an 8.5 is probably $500. That's a big difference. Check your books. Know what to look for. And again, like I said, between an 8.5 to a 9.2, it got the lower end, but that's still higher than what it originally was. So I'm very happy with this. And let's go over the grader's notes. So it says multiple stress lines along the spine. I talked about that. Fingerprints on the back cover. That's something you really can't control. I wore gloves when I took this out, as you could see. I actually, one of my subscribers, I forget who it was because it was like 6 or 7 years ago, sent me these gloves. So probably the previous owner had that happen. But you can see on the back, it's almost like 85% of this book is complete black. Then you have the little cartoon in the center. So, like I was saying before in one of my other previous videos, black is going to show any fingerprint, and that will affect the grade. So they did mention fingerprints on the back cover, cover wear on back cover. So the pressing did an amazing job. I wouldn't have taken it out if I didn't think it would grade higher. Sometimes you take the chance. Like I had 3 books that I cracked out of books before I even knew about gradings. As far as pressings are concerned, I got them graded back when I first started, and I wasn't aware of pressings even were a thing. And 2 of the 3 came back the same grade. 1 actually came back, I think, 0.5 lower, I believe. Or they could have all 3 been the same. So it is worth taking the chance on. I remember my Hulk 181. It was an 8.0. I saw it had pressable defects. It came back an 8.5. So there are times where you'll win for this. So bone number 1. So now I have 2 number 1 issues. I have a CGC 9.0, which I'm not sure if I'll crack that one open because I see some defects, but I don't know if any of them look like they're pressable. So that one I might leave. So I have a number 1 that's a CGC 9.0, and now I have an 8.5 from a previous 7.5. So that's why it pays to get your books pressed no matter what company you use. The good thing about PGX is they have in-house pressings and dry cleanings. And again, if you do not want PGX to grade your books, because I'm not here to tell you who to grade with, you can get them sent there and just say you want them pressed and dry cleaned. Because they do an amazing job. I say it all the time because I've never seen it where they pressed a book and they ruined it. They don't do, I forget the process, but they don't use, like, you see so many people use almost like a steam cleaner. They do a different technique when it comes to their dry cleaning where they don't add any moisture. And every time they do pressings, it blows me away at the quality. So if you don't want your books graded by PGX, have them do the pressings and dry cleanings because they are quick, they are efficient, and they are cheaper than some of the other places. Time is money when it comes to these things. So anybody that says only CGC books will sell, what do you think I'll get more money for? A CGC 7.5 or the PGX 8.5 because I got the pressable defects taken out? So even if it's the same value, it's worth taking the chance on. But an upgrade from that, I'm very happy with. Would I have loved it to be higher? Sure. But I'm not going to complain about an 8.5, especially when it was a 7.5. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I did 3 videos today. If you haven't seen the others, I'd love for you to check them out. The last 4 books that I sent in are already on their way back from PGX. So just to give you a scenario of the books, because they're all Golden Age, the 4 books that should be coming later this week are All Hero Comics number 1, Batman number 19, All-Star Comics number 6, just 2 issues before Wonder Woman, and Superman issue number 8. So those are some great books. I can't wait. They're all lower grade, but, you know, I say it all the time, low grade is better than no grade. So those are the 4 books that are coming probably within the end of the week, so stay tuned for that. 13 people out of the 13 hit the like button, so we got a 100% ratio, so thank you for that. Life is Good says there is a signed 8.5 for sale around $4,200. Well, signed is going to make it more valuable, and anybody could put a price for selling. So the idea is to check what's been sold. So I don't think that book would get me $4,200, but let's say it gets half of that. Let's say $2,100. Well, that's more than the $1,400 I spent. And if they ever do a TV show or anything based on this, because I think it should, it's definitely got characters, especially for kids, that would probably go over very well if done correctly. If they ever do a TV show, or I think this would work better as a TV show than a movie, because many people may not know what this is, and TV shows give you a chance to spread it out so people get to know them. But if they ever did a TV show with these characters, I think it would go pretty well. This is a not rare book, but a rarer book. So if you can get your hands on these, like I said, I have 2 complete sets, and I think I can have at least 3 or 4 complete sets where I would just need another issue number 1. Now, I'm saying that like that's an easy achievement, because as you could see, like somebody just said, an 8.5 signed is on sale for $4,200. So these are not exactly cheap. But hey, you never know. You see them in a yard sale. You see them at some store that sells comics that's not their main thing. You know, it might be one of those mom and pop antique stores, and they just happen to have a couple of comics that they have. Deals can always be made, but again, make sure you know the color of the first prints, because I think, like I said, either 7 or 8 prints, the cover is exactly the same except for the color of the title of the comic. So if you see anything other than the color red, that means it's a second, third, fourth, etc. printing. It doesn't mean you can't make money on them, but don't overspend thinking you bought a first print. If you spent $1,500 on a book and found out it's a second or third print, you're not going to be happy. So make sure you know what you're doing. So if you're buying comics to invest or speculate, you really should know what you're doing. Because if you don't, you're going to get burned more times than you're ever going to win. The problem is, there are going to be people who, every now and then you're going to win. It's like playing blackjack. If you don't know what you're doing, every now and then you're going to win. And on the other token, or the other spectrum, you're going to have somebody that knows everything about blackjack. Sometimes they're going to lose. But it's the overall. I will win more times than I will lose, because I base it on my knowledge of what I'm investing in. So the more you know, the less chance of getting burned. And knowing things like taking a 7.5 book, looking at it, because it was already graded, and seeing that it has pressable defects, and knowing what pressable defects are, taking the chance by getting it taken out. Now, I took it out myself, because I will never send in a book to any company and have them crack open the case, because I can guarantee you any company will not take the same care as you would. So I would highly recommend, if you're ever going to have another company grade another graded company's comic, don't let them crack it open. Do it yourself. Be very careful, be very delicate. There are many videos out there that teach you how to do it. You need a screwdriver, twist it, you got to cut it open, you got to be very careful. But I would not leave it in the hands of anybody else. So Captain Crunch says, you got to steal. Netflix was developing a series. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And temporarily shelved it to rethink the LP. I was at Netflix at the time. I never knew you worked there. Yeah, I knew it was somebody that was thinking about doing it, and it got put on hold. Is that hold indefinite? Who knows? But if one day they decide, in another year or two, they decide to put that on, and they do it well, like, for example, if they do a quality like they did with Invincible, and I think that was Amazon that did Invincible, that book will probably double. So it's worth taking the chance on. But again, you don't want to overpay, because if it never happens, the book may not increase that much, but it will still have value based on its rarity and based on the fact it has a lot of underground fans. So it's a series I would highly recommend. But you get what you love. So those are the 4 books. Very happy overall. Cannot complain about it. As usual, all the books arrive safely. The pressings and dry cleanings, they always do a fantastic job. Grades were pretty spot on from what I predicted they would be. Some varied a little bit, but again, nothing I'm unhappy with. So thank you very much to the people that watched. Let's do the surprise subscriber shout-outs. We're going to go Super Neil. And we're going to go with Daryl Griffin. You two are today's surprise subscriber shout-outs. So you know the deal, but just in case if you don't, all you have to do is, if you're one of the surprise subscriber shout-outs, if you want to place a link in the comment section to either a YouTube video or your YouTube channel, or if you'd rather have a link to your social networks like Twitter or, well, I guess X they call it now, or Facebook or Instagram, whatever, or if you sell something on eBay, Amazon, or any of those places and you'd rather share a link to one of your sales, I'll leave it up to you which one you want to do. Just keep in mind, once you hit enter, it will not show up in the comment section until I approve it. So this way it doesn't take anyone anywhere inappropriate. So if you see a link in the comment section to any of my videos, it means that it has been approved. So go give them some support. So let me know what you think about the thumbnail. This is one of my AI art pieces. Love to hear your opinions of it. Let me know overall what you thought about these books. Would you have purchased any of these books? You think I got a deal? You think I got robbed? I'd love to hear your opinions, because remember, that's all they are, just your opinions. You're allowed to have them, and if you think they're right, that's great. So go give PGX a try if you haven't. Remember, use the code We Love Comics Free Press. If you send 10 books or more, they will press one of them for free. And I highly recommend mentioning which particular book you want to get pressed. And if you want to add the greatest notes to the back, which again, I absolutely love that they did that and they took my idea and ran with it and they do a great job with it. It's We Love Comics, Greatest Notes, and it's $5 per book. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Many people are going to have off on Monday. Just be careful if you've been drinking. Please do not be driving. And don't forget, it is not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. 3 videos in one day. It's a Christmas miracle.